Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to News Dose, and we got a lot of new information to open the week with. We got an exciting update for you Game Pass subscribers out there. You all are in for a very good week, let me tell you. And then we also got an update for Zelda Echoes of Wisdom that really just kind of changes everything that we knew about that game. A secret that Nintendo has yet to reveal was uncovered, and I think that this makes it much more interesting. Now, that's just my opinion, so we're going to get into all of that. And then we also have an Xbox cancellation to talk about, though truthfully, I think there's a lot of misinformation floating around. So we have a lot to get into today, and with that, you know what? Let's just go and jump right into it, starting off with From Software and what they're currently up to. Of course, they just released Elden Ring Shadow of the Erdtree, and as expected, it's been having a ton of success. It reached 5 million players in a matter of days, and I imagine it's grown a lot even since then. But FromSoft has actually had a very busy 12 months. Some people might overlook this, but Shadow of the Erdtree hasn't been their only release because it was less than 1 year ago when they dropped Armored Core 6. And now it appears like you Armored Core fans out there will have more to look forward to in the future. By all indication, this will not be a one-off release. A user over on Tech4Gamers spotted a new job listing for a character modeler that requires knowledge of modeling and texturing characters of robots. Now, there's really only one FromSoft series that fits that description, so it's pretty easy to draw the conclusion that this is indeed related to the Armored Core series. Now, there is an off chance that this could be for something else, but it is important to note here that Miyazaki has already talked about more future Armored Core content. So, with that in mind, I think now the question just kind of becomes, is this for some kind of Armored Core 6 DLC? Or could this be for a brand new entry, let's say Armored Core 7? Either which way, I think that this is fantastic news for fans of the series, which there's a lot more than ever before. Last year's game was a big hit for From Software because it's yet another great game. And for that matter, I like the fact that FromSoft is kind of branching out a little bit more. They have their Souls games, which are extraordinary, and that's fully expected to continue. But Armored Core is a completely different experience that they can work on side by side, and it really showcases their vast expertise. I mean, FromSoft really just knows how to make great games. Now, as for Xbox Game Pass, this is a big week for subscribers. There's multiple day one releases coming within just the next few days, which includes Capcom's new IP, Kumitsugami Path of the Goddess. It'll be out on July 18th, and the thing about this game is that it looks very unique, and it's really unlike any game that we've seen before. Personally, that's the reason that this game has my attention. We don't really see a lot of games from these big-time publishers experiment much anymore, but here we have Capcom, and they're trying to do something completely different with Kumitsugami, and I am all for it. They describe this game as a strategy action game, but if you want to know more, early reviews are rolling out now, and I'm happy to say that they're quite promising so far. As of this recording, the Xbox version has an 83 overall score on Metacritic. Now, the PC version has an 82, and the PS5 has a 78. So I'd say that that's a pretty good sign, if anything else, and from what I saw, and really from what I've heard, Path of the Goddess is almost like a tower defense type of game in disguise, but with its own unique twist that combines action hack and slash gameplay. Sounds like a fun blend of gameplay if you ask me, and honestly, I'm even more excited to play this game after everything that we've seen. I mean, if you're still skeptical about this game, which is understandable, they do have a free demo that anybody can play. You can check it out on Xbox, you can play it on PlayStation or PC, and for that matter, I kind of feel like this will be a good game for PC gaming handhelds as well, like the Steam Deck and the ROG Ally. So if you want to try the demo out on one of those devices, see how they work, it might be worth a try. Again, though, Kumitsugami will be out on July 18th. Alright, so let's go and talk about Zelda Echoes of Wisdom. By this point, this game is only a few short months away. I know I'm personally excited about it as I'm a big fan of the top-down Zelda games. I've always really liked them a lot. And this one, I'd say, is interesting in the sense that it's really just kind of its own thing. Similar to what I said about Path of the Goddess, I do like when games try something different, and Echoes of the Wisdom, it's not your typical Zelda game, and I'm interested to see how its gameplay turns out. But here's the thing. It kind of sounds like Nintendo has kept a major secret from us and how this game works. Based on how they presented its initial reveal, it kind of made it seem like Zelda was the only playable character. However, that might not actually be the case because according to ESERB, they dropped some new details for Echoes of Wisdom, and you know what? Let's just kind of read what they said here. So they said this is an adventure game in which players assume the role of Zelda as she attempts to dispel rifts throughout Hyrule and rescue Link. From a 3-4 overhead perspective, players explore various environments while fighting stylized enemies like humans and creatures. As Link, players use a sword and arrow to defeat enemies. Yeah, I'm going to go and say that again. As Link, players use a sword and arrows to defeat enemies. So according to ESRB, we will play as Link after all, which really, I'd say, opens up a lot of different possibilities. But I also think that's kind of important to understand here. I think what we're kind of seeing is that a lot of people are jumping to the conclusion that this means this game will be split with you playing as Zelda at certain points in the game, and then it might switch over to Link where you play different segments. So as one such example, we know that Link has been lost to one of these rifts. He's probably in a different, darker dimension. He's kind of stuck there, almost like Lorule in Link Between Worlds or the underbelly of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. Maybe in Echoes of Wisdom, you'll play as Link and fight your way out of that rift periodically throughout the game. Now, I would still expect Zelda to be the main protagonist that you play as throughout the majority of the game, but theoretically, with this idea, they can mix the gameplay up by letting you assume the role of Link in those rifts periodically. Zelda would probably focus more on puzzle elements, whereas Link might fight off, let's say, some major bosses, as one such example. Now, personally, I think that's a really cool idea, and I think a lot of people would be very happy about that. Maybe they could work together in certain situations. But like I said before, to be completely fair, this ESRB rating doesn't necessarily confirm that. In reality, what this could actually mean is that you play as Link for just the intro of the game, and then after he gets lost to the rift, as we saw in the trailer, then you might play as Zelda for the rest of the game and never play as Link again. I feel like a lot of people are kind of jumping to conclusions a little bit early on this one. Again, I think the idea that Link plays a bigger role is really exciting in theory, but at the end of the day, I do need to caution you all not to just jump to that conclusion until we get a more concrete confirmation from Nintendo themselves, because there is a chance that people are, yes, overreacting to this ESRB rating. I mean, this is the internet, and overreactions kind of go hand in hand. So just kind of keep that in mind for the time being. Now, if Link does play a bigger role, though, I mean, we really only have 2 months to go. So, it's not like we're going to have to wait too long to find out for ourselves. And again, no matter how this plays out, I am very excited about this game, and I hope you all are as well. Okay, now one last thing before we go. Unfortunately, the Crash Bandicoot series has allegedly had a bit of a setback. Not exactly what I was hoping to talk about today, but there's actually a lot of misinformation floating around about this topic. I'll come back to that here in just a moment, but this is coming from a former Toys for Bob artist, and he revealed a new IP that they had been working on has been canceled. It was Project Dragon, which he confirmed was not connected to Spyro. Don't get that confused. Yes, it's an ironic code name from the studio that also worked on Spyro Reignited. But nonetheless, here he responded to a fan's question and said this: "It is not Spyro, but someday folks will hear about the Crash 5 that never was, and it's gonna break hearts." So if this is true, then there were plans for a new Crash Bandicoot game at one point in time, and it is unfortunate to hear that it was canceled. However, I've seen a lot of people blame Microsoft for this situation, and that this is the end of Crash Bandicoot under Toys for Bob. But that's really not what this statement says at all. In fact, this same person later on claimed that this canceled Crash Bandicoot 5 project wasn't even being developed by Toys for Bob in the first place. So this news has no bearing on what Toys for Bob does in the future at all. Now, as for the cancellation itself, there's really not enough information to know who or when it was canceled. A lot of people are jumping to the conclusion that Microsoft just doesn't care about the IP and that they canceled it. but they've really only owned Activision since October of last year. So unless it was canceled recently, which we don't know, then this would have been an Activision decision and not a Microsoft decision, which wouldn't really be all that surprising. We know for a fact that Activision took resources away from Toys for Bob to work on Call of Duty instead. We also know that they absorbed Vicarious Visions to work on other games within Blizzard, which was the former Crash Insane Trilogy studio. So Activision has put the Crash series on the back burner a few times already, and because of that, it wouldn't be an outlandish thought that they would cancel Crash Bandicoot 5. Also, knowing that it wasn't a Toys for Bob developed Crash Bandicoot game, it's also hard to assume what type of quality it would have been. They might not have liked the direction that studio was taking the series in. So, there's just been a lot of negative assumptions about the future of Crash Bandicoot based on this news, but this is what we currently know. Toys for Bob went independent earlier this year, and they signed a contract with Xbox to work on a game. That more than likely means that Toys for Bob is working on an Xbox-owned IP, and it's widely believed to be the long-requested Spyro 4. They've teased that in various different ways, and that's great news. And even their new logo is a combination of the Crash Bandicoot and Spyro franchises. It's got that purple collar from Spyro, and then the Crash mask is the logo. So I think that right there shows that they do still have interest in Crash Bandicoot, and as long as they keep a partnership with Xbox, then yeah, I think there's still a very good chance that they will work on Crash Bandicoot 5 sometime in the future. Despite some of the rumors that are going around, this new information I don't think really holds any bearing over what Xbox and Toys for Bob does as partners together. Right now, though, my full expectation is that they are working on Spyro 4 first, which again, I think that would be absolutely fantastic. Anyways, though, that's going to be it for this episode, but as always, do hit that subscribe button, and until next time, peace out.